And Brian, I thought maybe professional pride, something would summon itself tonight for Cleveland and they'd win a game. They got outscored by double digits in every single quarter except the second and the third, they got outscored by 7 and 8. But anyway, they get run by 37. This Knicks team isn't just winning, they're obliterating people. Has it changed your calculus for you on how you view them vis-a-vis NBA championship worthy?
So since the second half was irrelevant, I spent the second half texting with coaches and executives and scouts saying, hey, can this Knicks team do it? Like, we've seen them now for a month. Can this Knicks team do it? And the answer resoundingly is yes, they can. I mean, can they win 4 more games? They will probably be the underdog, but we don't know who's going to be standing upright in 2 or 3 more games coming out of the West. There's already guys banged up in that series. And look, the Cavaliers are not a great team, okay? They went 8-10 in the postseason, okay? If they were in the Western Conference, they would not be in the conference finals. You could debate about whether this team would have made it out of the first round. But it wasn't like they won these games, as you said, by 1 or 2 points. They were smashing these teams. You know, I was just talking to members of the Knicks front office, and when they came here a few years ago, Scott, they had no players, okay? Look at this team now. Everybody they put on the court can play. And so, like, they are going to face a monster next week when this final starts. But they absolutely can win it. This is a team that is very talented and is playing its absolute highest level of basketball. And when I came out here and was waiting to come on, there's all these Knicks fans, thousands of Knicks fans here, and I get asked 10, 20 times, can they do it? Can they do it? Yes. Yes, they can do it.
I agree with all of that, and we will have at least 4 more games to discuss New York vis-a-vis this season. Cleveland's has come to an end. The last couple of years, look, they were the 1, and then this year they won a bunch of games, made a conference finals. They've won over 100 games in the last 2 years. It's not like they're awful, but they're non-competitive in this situation, and they're left to ask themselves, what do we do next? So I'm asking you, what do they do next?
Yeah, they're not good enough, okay? And it really starts with the fact that their 2 best players, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, they don't defend very well. And the Knicks exploited them on it, and the other teams exploited them on it. So they have got 2 courses of action. Kenny Atkinson just talked about it. They can try to bring them back for a training camp and see if they can gel, or they can try to swing huge for the fences. What does that mean? They've already traded one of their young all-stars, Darius Garland, for a veteran player in James Harden. Would they consider trading one of their other all-stars for a veteran star player like Giannis Antetokounmpo? Would they get into that sweepstakes? They have the ammo if they want. The second thing is, and while the Knicks fans were all asking me whether the Knicks could win the title, I got a bunch of Cavs fans out here asking me, are they going to sign LeBron James? The answer there is maybe. Right now, they can offer him $3 million, Scott. That's what they got, $3 million. Maybe LeBron would take $3 million. Maybe they'll make 4 trades and they'll open up a bunch more. But right now, it's $3 million. So we've got a lot of questions to answer before you get to that pathway. But certainly the Cavs have some big choices to make about which pathway to go.
Interesting things to ponder for Cleveland as their offseason has arrived. Brian, we'll see you in New York when the final of the night in the NBA, as for the first time since '99, New York, bing bong, they are cheering a squad who will be playing for the title. A look back at the road, which featured a game against Atlanta that I recall being out to dinner and looking at the score and thinking it was wrong. They won 140 to 89, a 51-point game. They shot like 1,000,000,000% from the floor. Not really, but they might as well have. Then, looking for an easier bit of it against Philly, a sweep. They went into Philly and didn't miss. 3rd sweep of a best-of-7 in franchise history. Knicks fans turned it into a takeover, making Philly feel like MSG South.
I used to think Philly was a sports town. I don't know if it is anymore.
Of course, he's one of those Nova Knicks, and they enjoyed that. And now here in Cleveland, they erased a 22-point deficit in the 4th quarter. A little bit rusty after that long layoff. It was the first time a team won when trailing by 20 or more in the final 7 minutes of the 4th. Other teams prior to that, 0 and 663. After that, they really weren't challenged. Landry Shamet was nuts in Game 3. and it led to the first 10-game winning streak for the Knicks at any point since 2013.
Analytically, I think we've won I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. I said like an expected score.
Yeah, but see, the score is how we keep track of who gets to play in the finals. So analytically, the Knicks won this game by 37, because it's just math, Steve.
That's it.
I'm not smart at a lot, but math I can sort of do. A 20-0 run, on to the finals. Jalen Brunson, the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
The belief that the organization has in me has been amazing, and it's something I don't take for granted, and it's something that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do so. So I'm very thankful, and it's an honor to be here in this city and for this organization and this with my teammates. And yeah, obviously these guys have my back, and they've always had it, and wouldn't trade that for the world.
Sacramento fired that guy. Anyway, the Knicks have completely demolished teams on these closeout games, and especially in the first half. I mean, they've essentially ended the games by halftime. 83-36 in Atlanta. That was where I thought it was a misprint. 81-57 in Philly, led by as many as 29 in the first in Cleveland. It was a 19-point lead they took into the locker room, and they essentially doubled it in the second half, and now they're heading to the finals.
One big thing.
For most of my time at ESPN, and that goes back to 2001, the reality of the New York Knicks has been incongruent with the idea of the New York Knicks. The first 20 years I was here, they won exactly one playoff series. Not title, series. And yet largely fueled by the allure and juice of both the city that they call home and their hoop home, the Garden, the idea of the New York Knicks remained. For a brief moment, after big-time free agents chose New York City, but the borough of Brooklyn to call their home, it was the Nets who had some juice. The cover of the New Yorker in 2021 suggested it was their city. That never became a reality. But in 2022, something did. The Knicks got Jalen Brunson. Now remember how and why. First, because Dallas didn't extend him, and then the Knicks struck out on the very public pursuit of Donovan Mitchell, whose Cavaliers the Knicks just swept. Now, I got to own the fact that at the time, I thought the Knicks were foolishly spending money simply because they had it and had to get somewhere. I believed Brunson to be the proverbial number 2, which is not a knock on him. It's just I didn't see the path for him to be the guy in that city. Well, here we are. Brunson is a true superstar in this league. OG Anunoby is another player I completely misjudged. Watched him play a bunch at Indiana. I thought he was a pro, but not one this impactful. A 17-point-a-game guy approaching 40% from 3 in the league? I didn't see that coming. His acquisition, along with Karl Anthony Towns' arrival from Minnesota, meant the Knicks had to part with high draft picks and all-stars like R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle. But those relationships had arrived at rocky moments, and even if it meant parting with a popular role player in Dante DiVincenzo, the time was right. The Knicks also felt the time was right to part with Coach Tom Thibodeau last year after they made their deepest playoff run in a generation last May. Timing seemed a little curious. They were largely patient with the team, but as they did with some big-name players, they felt a new approach and new direction was necessary. You stack it all end-to-end, and now the time has arrived for a team in a city to take center stage one more time. And for the first time in a long time, the reality is the Mecca is just that. Somebody paid more than $250,000 for a pair of court sides for Game 3 because the Knicks are back in